disrespect the provisions of INEC by the governor of Plateau State and in fact the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the person of JNS Pajol is, to say the least, the most unfortunate thing that ever happened in the political process of Plateau State. I've said it in a lot of forums that amounts to executive rascality, because I cannot see a situation whereby a person of that status would call on people to go and indulge in acts that are unlawful, because a call for people to go and use their temporary voters card against their permanent voters card, which is the provisions of the INEC, is, to say the least, an invitation to chaos. In fact, it's a cocktail of a crisis that they are brewing there. And I believe very strongly that what we can tell our voters at this point in time is the fact that they should restrict themselves to the provisions of the law. They should act lawfully. They should go there with their permanent voters card, subject themselves to the screening of the card readers, and do the needful without taking recourse to what the governor and the candidates of the PDP are asking them to do. Because I'm also surprised by the seeming quietness of the electoral commissioner in Plateau State, that in the face of such affronts of the laws of INEC, that the commissioner would choose to be quiet leaves much to be desired. And that raises our suspicion that he has compromised his position. We had cause to write a petition to that effect, that because he had not been able to defend the provisions of INEC simply means he has some other person's interest he's protecting. But we are calling on our voters to exercise restraint and do things according to what the provisions of the law provides.
Okay. Basically, the All Progressives Congress will be coming in to do value addition. And I think this is captured very succinctly in the change philosophy of the APC. What that simply means is that everything that has just not been going right in this country we need to get it righted. And I think that's basically what the APC is coming to do. Where you have the enthronement of corruption in high places and the corruption of institutions, as it were, and where people are not responsible to mandates and are not accountable to what is placed in their hands as a trust. APC is coming to bring in discipline in governance, and where people become responsible to whatever is placed before them. Having said that and having laid that as a background, I think basically what the APC is going to offer is a sense of belonging in the act of governance. The government is going to sincerely be in the true sense of the word for the people. And as you can see, what actually drove the wide acceptance of the APC from the presidential election to the overwhelming sweeping of all the votes in the National Assembly is a clear testimony of the fact that people want a change, and we want things to be better than they used to be. That's why I use the phrase value addition. Now, in terms of agriculture, we're going to see improvement in that sector. Basically, Nigeria will not be a consuming country anymore. We're going to ensure that what has already been started in terms of the cassava project is actually, as a national agricultural policy, is actually enhanced. We will have to now begin to review what happened to all the export products that Nigeria used to produce, and that has more or less now turned the export commission into just a tale of its own self. That is also going to be looked at. We're going to look at modern mechanization methods that will be able to enhance productivity, production, as it were. You are aware that Nigeria is actually angling to also be a major hub for rice production, and that will also be looked at in the agricultural sector. Within the educational sector, APC believes in basically free education, as it were, and you have already seen that practice in the core states of the Southwest. We've already recorded successes in that. That is going to be replicated in other areas. In the North Central Zone, Nasarawa has already done remarkably well in those areas. So states that are going to now key into the revolution theology and the revolution ideology, because it's not a belief system, will be able to see changes in that sector. And will now be able to accentuate beyond the political citation and location of universities and tertiary institutions. The efficacy will be injected into it, where you have quality injected into the teaching methods, where you have the TED fund actually becoming accountable. All critical sectors will become accountable. One of the key things that the presidential candidate of the APC has also mentioned, which is going to step down the line to all the states as a key into the major manifesto of the APC to develop agenda for implementation in the various states, is candidly speaking, reducing the burden of governance at the bureaucratic level of governance. Buhari has said that the top is overloaded, and we need to be able to reduce the cost of governance so that critical sectors can be funded. He has also said he's going to face corruption headlong. He mentioned 3 critical sectors in the power sector, We're going to face corruption in the oil and gas sector. That is why you notice helter skelter they've started running, and funds that were missing are now found. And I think that that is key. It tells you that the body language of the president speaks volume about the kind of expectations that Nigerians will have. APC as a political party is also committed to comprehensive health care. We're going to look at the insurance system, the health insurance system, community health insurance system to be reviewed. Specialized care will be given to check maternal mortality, infant mortality. And I think that that's also another critical sector that we need to look at. So every APC state, granted that the National Assembly is now going to be controlled by the APC, will be able to key into that as the budget is developed. And then basically too, there's going to be a sense of budget discipline. And the APC has already said that. Gone were the days where you just ascribe figures to budgets and then nobody does budget tracking to be able to find fiscal accountability in the budgeting process. The APC government is going to ensure that the budget is people-oriented, is going to be participatory in nature. People will not, the government will not decide projects for the people will decide projects for government on the basis of priority list. I think that this government largely, under the General Muhammadu Buhari, and which we believe sincerely come April 11th, will tell in the overwhelming victory of the APC. People will notice the change in governance and the dividends, the real dividends of democracy, not the duty of governance. You know, Nigeria has reduced the cliche dividends of democracy to when somebody patronizes you as a person. We're going to look at governance from the perspective of the wholesomeness, how you address the need of a people, how you address the need of a community, rather than how you address the need of a person, given his annexure and appendage to governance, as it were.
Most selling point and the most effective selling point that we have always marketed is the fact that his antecedents speak volumes for a person of his character. Number one, I told you before that when he was the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, he resisted all sorts of blackmail to indulge in what is considered today as an unconstitutional act of the removal and impeachment of the then Governor of Plateau State, Mr. Joshua Dare. The federal government, under the presidency of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, had wanted a situation whereby Chief Dare be removed unconstitutionally for whatever political consideration that the president thought he should be. But Lalong, who was the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, told him to his face that, Mr. President, ordinarily, I would have loved to do what you want if it were constitutional. But for the fact that it's not constitutional, I'm not going to do it. Because I stand for the Constitution, I swear to defend the Constitution, and I will defend the Constitution. He refused to impeach Dare. They went ahead to remove Dare with about 4 members of the House of Assembly out of 24. And today is history, because the Supreme Court had justified the action of Lalong by, of course, reversing the impeachment and the declaration of the state of emergency on Plateau State. Today, Lalong is a hero for that, because he stood for what the Constitution provides. That is just one aspect. The second aspect is for the fact that most of the developmental roadmaps that were laid during the Dare regime were laid as a result of what the House of Assembly did. Number one, it was the House of Assembly that initiated for the creation of development areas. That was taking the government next to the people, closest to the people. Development areas were created. It was still under Lalong as the Speaker of the House of Assembly that they created chiefdoms and other things. But this government, when they came, the first thing they did was to abolish all those things. And the people had cause to worry about the fact that this government is not people sensitive. And for that reason, you can see that today there is what is called the broom revolution, because it is the only opportunity for the people to express themselves as to their dissatisfaction over the activities of the government over the past 8 years.
Okay. Simply that they should remember that there's a future that's theirs, and that they must be partners in progress towards the attainment of that future, and that is going to begin with the voting on April 11th. They should not allow themselves to be hoodwinked or to be religiously manipulated, which is entirely what has dominated the public space now, and that they should do everything that is necessary to guard their mandate and to ensure that they vote in the line and the direction of their consciences. We also want to appeal to the youth to be sure that they read in between the lines and not just fall for the cheap bargain and the sales, as it were, purchases of consciences with all the monies that are making the rounds, of course, for people who already have actually deprived them of the basic necessities of life. I think that if the the PDP as a political party meant well for Nigerians, we would have seen the handwriting. And I don't think at the tree light of their exit, they'll be able to do anything different from what they have done this past 16 years. It's now time for change. Let them key into the philosophy and become a part of it.
Yes, my message to the people of Plateau State is first and foremost to thank them for coming out en masse to vote and ensuring the success of the APC at the polls and with the emergence of the President, General Muhammadu Buhari, and to set ahead of us the rebirth of a new Nigeria. And secondly, my message to them as far as the forthcoming elections are concerned is the fact that we need to conduct ourselves peacefully and lawfully. Like my friend has stated, that there is a future that belongs to the youth. And I don't expect that the youth will be the ones to be used by the politicians to cause chaos and anarchy in the state. And I would call upon the voters to ensure back in the hands of opposition, because we know the implication of the fact that there is an APC federal government and then we end up with a PDP government in Plateau State. It makes things very difficult. It creates a lot of administrative bottlenecks where we want to access projects in the benefit of Plateau State. And finally, I would also want to appeal to the electoral body that the presiding officers, the returning officers, whoever is involved in the process, that they should follow the dictate of their conscience. That these elections is an opportunity for the people of the state to choose leaders that are going to lead them. It's an opportunity for the people of this state to be able to reverse the wrongs that they've suffered over the years. If they allow themselves for the enticement of whatever consideration is being issued to them to subvert this process, they would live with it for the rest of their time on their consciences. And I pray that we'll have a peaceful elections.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.